I'll just wait. Sounds good. Thank you.
I'm ready whenever you are.
They're ready too. Good morning. Welcome to the Board of County Commissioners meeting for May 18th, 2021. Please join me in a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. We have no citizens' comments. We have a public hearing ordinance 21-05-002L, amending Article 11 of Coos County Code.
Okay.
Council.
So this hearing has been set for the purpose of holding the first public hearing on the proposed ordinance 21-05-002L. Notice of the hearing was published in the World newspaper on the 7th of this month and posted in accordance with ORS 203.045. The ordinance would add a new Division 6 to Article 11 of the Coos County Code. The new division would impose decibel restrictions for off-road recreational vehicles operating in the Oregon Dunes and adjacent areas, and that area is defined by the ordinance as lying to the west of Highway 101, north of the Coos Bay Estuary within Coos County. The ordinance would impose a noise emission limit of 97 dBA on all off-road vehicles operating in that regulated area. The ordinance is not intended to cover racing events held at recreational parks as defined in the Oregon Administrative Rules regarding noise regulations.
Okay. Is that it?
Yes.
I can comment a
Okay.
little bit on
All right.
this, about the procedure that we went through to come up with the recommended ordinance. There has been, continues to have been for some time, some conflict among people that live in or near the dunes, and some, but not all of the people who ride in the dunes, who have inadequate exhaust systems or inadequate noise control in their exhaust systems. The existing regulations are a bit confusing. The Forest Service has a 93 decibel limit on their lands. The state of Oregon has a confusing array of decibel limits. And Will, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 95 decibels on vehicles like a Jeep with an engine in the front of the vehicle, 97 on vehicles like four-wheelers and side-by-sides, and 99 on motorcycles. And why they have this array of different decibel limitations, no one seems to know. A group of concerned citizens met with a representative from the Forest Service. The riders on the dunes were represented there. Will Coleman represented the county and law enforcement. We had representatives from people that live in or near the dunes, and we had people who have, like Todd, who have concessions or facilities in the dunes. We concluded that there was a problem. The Forest Service says I don't know exactly what they said, Will, you may be able to help me on this, but that 93 was unrealistic. There are few, if any, dunes vehicles produced now that would even comply with 93, so they're out of date on that. We did not want to do away with things such as the activities that are sometimes held in the dunes, races, special events. So this ordinance does not cover those types of events. What we concluded was that 97, and everyone kind of bought in on this, 97 decibels was a very reasonable limit, both in terms of noise and also in terms of enforceability and in terms of what the manufacturers of the vehicles that run on the dunes are providing as market devices. So it was agreed that 97 decibels was the limit, and that the county was probably the best entity to have that limit and to enforce it. So that's where we are.
Okay. I will open it up for public comment. Who wants to go first? Todd, come up, please.
Todd Gergen, Boxcar Hill Campground, 92799 Trans-Pacific Parkway, North Bend, Oregon. I had an opportunity to spoke with Nathan a little bit before this, and I just wanted to say for the record that all in all, we're in favor of the ordinance. We appreciate the input allowed from our perspective, owning property out on the North Spit. We operate the Oregon Dunes Sand Park, which has had the Oregon Dunes Raceway, a drag strip out there, which is operated off and on infrequently, but is more frequent as our development improves and expands out there. The one thing I would say is that on the exceptions, when I brought this up earlier, that I want to make sure that the distinction's made between organized events and when the property is utilized as an RV park catering to off-road enthusiasts that are using the ODNRA. Both can be true at the same time. So we have 100 acres out there. We have a facility that has a distinct boundary line when they have special events at distinct times, organized times. At the same time, those people are camping on the property, and when those events aren't taking place, they may be out recreating on the ODNRA. So it seems to me that we've got it covered from what Nathan's explained and what Commissioner Sweet has expanded on and what the intent of the ordinance is. I just want for the record to make sure that you know, that's also my understanding as well. That if we have organized events out there and that there's a distinct boundary line on our property where those events are taking place during certain times, that's outside the purview of this ordinance. Yet when we have regular activities that are just normal operations of operating an RV park to people that like to recreate in the ODNRA, that is subject to this ordinance. So that's my understanding, and I just wanted to make that clear on the record during the testimony portion of this reading.
Let me ask one more question to make sure that I'm clear in what you just asked. My assumption is that if you're holding races there, some of those vehicles will likely have muffler systems that produce decibel levels above 97. You're saying that those would be legal on your property in the events that they are there to participate in, but they would not be legal even though that's a weekend event outside or off the
Of those
racetrack.
designated areas or the transit to and from those
Right.
designated areas.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think we're on the same
I
page.
wanted to make sure that, that we weren't thinking that,
We're-
as long as they're there, it's legal for them to go out on
We
the
would
rest
not
of the dunes.
condone taking those vehicles on the open dunes or even recreating on the rest of our property. we would post and sign and notify people and educate them in regards to the ordinance in cooperation with the Forest Service.
I will say, compliment Todd and the people that put on the Future Sand Dunes.
The UTV takeover.
The UTV takeover, that, they did a takeover, was it earlier this year? Or, no, last year.
Yeah, in October.
Just in October, when we were still wrestling with reopening things, given the COVID virus, and they were very, very cooperative. They did exactly what they said they would do, and it went off very nicely.
Yeah,
So-
I think they were happy, and I think the Coos Health and Wellness, the county health department was happy with the procedures they employed, and it was a very safe event. So, well, thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you. Who's next?
Thank you.
Who's next? Nobody?
Jody, do you have anything?
In the fines, so hopefully that'll, you know, those that are grossly over the limit, they're gonna be able to, maybe impact them a little bit more. Try to encourage them to come into compliance.
Are we running checks on decibel limits now?
I'm sorry, say again?
Are we running decibel limits on vehicles now?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, the current state decibel limit is what John Sweet was talking about. It's 95 for front engine vehicles,
Right.
97 for mid and rear engine,
Yeah.
and 99 for motorcycles.
So this is only gonna affect motorcycles?
Correct. Yeah, I mean,
It seems a bit,
It's reducing them down to the 97 decibels.
yeah, I got that part, but it seems, and there's a leeway too, apparently.
Yeah, you got, basically you have a plus or minus 1.5 decibels, for basically equipment error, you know, person error, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
you give them a little benefit of the doubt
Or, testing error. Okay.
for testing part, yeah.
Huh. Melissa? Any thoughts about this?
No, I mean, I've thought about this a lot since the last work session we had. It's a shame that there's this confusion about what the decibel level should be. I think it's important in cases like this for the county to step in where we can and help and make things easier for everybody. So I appreciate the work that all of you have done to put this together and the work that Commissioner Sweet has done.
I'm having a hard time with it because it only affects motorcycles, so, you know, what's the point? I mean, we already have this, you know, statewide
Jody?
decibel limit. Huh?
I
Drew?
guess, just to address that, what I was talking about earlier, under the state statute, I think it's only a $115 violation.
Uh-huh.
Whereas with this one, it would be a Class D violation, which under state statutes is $265, but with the county, it's up to a maximum of $1,000, from what I saw on the
Okay.
site here. So
So it's a little more deterrent.
there's a little more incentive to make sure you're compliant.
Okay. Jody,
you
will you
for that.
come forward, please?
Yeah, I'm Jody Phillips. I live in North Bend, part of Save the Riders Dunes, which we've been working with the Forest Service extensively to keep it open, the ODNRA, because we only ride on 25% of it, and we don't want to lose any more. So that's really what we do, and we see noise as the single biggest issue right now for closures. And I'm looking now more on the Forest Service side and their struggles. And their struggles internally is they've got a marten out there now that hasn't been listed as endangered, but it's I don't know what the technicality name is, but they're watching it pretty close. And there's a potential that it could close a vast area because all that vegetation is now a perfect habitat for them. So the issue that you know, the citizens that come to us with is the fact that, you know, there's not a lot of enforcement right now, and there's not a lot of enforcement because there's no standardization. And that's really what this is about, and we appreciate you guys really, and John especially with, you know, working with him in the meetings is to find a way to standardize. And that's not easy to do, because really it's not necessarily the county's, you know, responsibility, because you got your own, the state and everything else, but the state's so confusing. The Forest Service has agreed, and they've got a whole scoping, I just talked to Garrett via email this morning, and they have to do scoping, they got to wait 6 months, get public comment, gotta basically go through an entire EA just to get this happening. The county coming in and saying 97 for one number for the whole enchilada is ammunition for them internally to get this to happen. So that's really the main thing, because Bob, I definitely understand what you're talking about. It doesn't make a lot of sense to just add layers of regulations on top of layers, but it's kind of a confluence, and the end goal for us is to keep the dunes open and keep the recreation and folks coming in. And you know, if the county would go with this, it gives Will a heck of a lot more ammunition. And from a rider perspective, we can publish and post 97 dB. That's it. Fines are $265 or whatever they are. And you write 5 or 6 tickets, and let me tell you, with Facebook and social media the way it is, it won't take them long to get that message out. So that's really, and it kind of starts at the county from what we can see. So that's really the nuts and bolts from our perspective of what we're trying to do here.
One of the things that came out during the course of our discussions regarding the dunes was that in Utah, Moab, a very, very popular destination for off-road vehicles, the issue over largely noise there has become so intense that, and there's such a division between the community and the recreationists that if they were, I don't know if they're still able to ride there or not.
Well, they can't go in the city limits. There's areas you can go ride, but you know, that's been you know, a major area. That's like the destination resort for off-roaders, especially because you can ride in the Grand Canyon, the top of the Grand Canyon, and everything from Moab.
So one of our goals was to nip that type of overreaction in the bud, so that we can continue having this area. It's very important to us economically, and it would be horrible to see it go away because of we were headed towards such a division, I fear.
We are. There's no question about it, because you know, the Martin being listed, that really changed. That was a game changer for me. Once that happened, and so far there's studies that because the Martin is a nocturnal animal, we're not in conflict with them, but that can change pretty doggone fast.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you.
But thank you.
Do you have something to say, Todd, again?
I just say I walk my dog, Horsefall every day, 4 miles, and probably once a week, I see pine martens crossing the road right in front of me. I mean, there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
Mostly in the pine forest, in the non-motorized area. It's already designated as non-motorized.
Which
So there's a lot of them out there, they're very healthy.
I've had other reports of the same thing,
Yeah.
but when they did the study, they couldn't find them.
Yeah, I see them in broad
Quote,
daylight
unquote.
crossing the road.
Well, we have a problem on, Thomas, at the Trans-Pacific Highway with pine martens being run over,
Right.
so they are out there.
I've seen a lot of dead squirrels on Horsefall, but not pine martens. But I see a lot of live pine martens out there.
Well, we gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Again, I
Okay.
speak for the Forest Service now. It's
And-
like the pine marten. Well, the pine marten is also listed, but this is a subspecies of the Humboldt marten, called the coastal marten.
Yeah.
They're small.
It's smaller.
Yeah, I've seen those too.
All right. Any other comments about this proposed ordinance? Final reading will be June 1st.
I guess I'm wondering now, are you sure those are pine martens getting run over on Trans-Pacific?
Maybe not.
Or are they coastal martens?
I don't know. I hope they're not those
They're just
Humboldt
plain old
martens.
squirrels.
So, what do we need here? We've read the ordinance,
Yeah.
we've had the public comments,
Well-
so the next.
John, I don't think we read the ordinance by title.
Oh, you wanna do that?
Yeah, go ahead and read it.
Okay, I can do it. So, this is, the ordinance is titled, "In the Matter of Amending the Coos County Code to Promulgate Regulations Regarding Motor Vehicle Noise Emission in the Oregon Dunes National Recreation Area and Adjacent Areas." It's ordinance 21-05002L.
Great.
Okay, so the final reading be June 1st.
Okay, so
Right here.
we need to, set a date,
Hmm?
of June
Yeah.
21 for the second hearing and adoption. Is that
June
right?
first.
June 1st.
June 1st,
It says
yeah.
that here.
So I move we do that.
Okay. We're together today.
Do we?
I don't think we need a motion.
I don't think we do.
No, we don't.
Oh,
Not,
okay.
not on ordinances.
All right.
All right, moving on. Since I
So
don't
don't
hear,
second it.
I don't hear anybody else about this. 4A, request approval of contract with Kairos. Mike, are you on the phone?
I am, thank you, Bob.
Okay.
This contract is for Kairos to help out with our parent-child interactive therapy skills training with the families, as well as we're adding this component to help us with our new program, the intensive in-home behavioral health therapy for kids.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I move we approve and sign the contract with Kairos.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. 4B, request approval of resolutions granting two-step merit increase. Mike?
Yes, I'm requesting the board to approve the attached merit step resolution for public health nurses Becca Fairhurst and Kelsey Orr. Due to the extraordinary circumstances this past year, these two individuals have gone above and beyond in their commitment to the citizens of Coos County during the pandemic, and request that these individuals be granted an additional step increase in their pay per the resolutions.
Have a motion?
I move to approve resolution 21-04-058P and 21-05-078P.
Do I have a second?
I second for discussion.
Okay, discussion.
You had some concern.
Yeah. I do have some concerns about this, and I expressed that to Mike earlier. We have lots of people at the county doing extraordinary work, above and beyond their commitments. I can think of all kinds of folks. And just wonder if this is going to start some kind of a precedence. I really appreciate these two nurses doing extraordinary work, but I do have reservations at the same time.
Did you want to let Mike respond?
Mike, is this outside of their duties as a nurse in their job description?
Oh, yes, absolutely. These public health nurses basically have stood up our case investigation program. They are the only two staff that we have that actually did not do what they were hired to do this last year due to the pandemic. They had to basically learn a new job, take it over from our FE who had left, and then, kind of maintain that throughout the entire pandemic, which they still continue to do.
Okay, so why didn't we change the job description instead?
Well, they are going back to home visiting at some point.
Okay, but can they work out of class when they're doing this instead of outside of their job description?
Well, we
And you
looked
pay them
at
extra for doing that?
class, and that actually affects more than just them.
Meaning what? How would they expect more than just them?
Well,
You lost me.
that case investigation, we are actually hiring outside people for, and I don't think that that's necessarily where we wanted to go.
So I'm still a little bit not with you. You say you're hiring outside people to do case investigation, and these two people are
Right.
doing the same thing?
Yes, these two people have actually been doing it for over a year, and we are trying to get them to train new staff to take over for them as we ease out of COVID. So as we hit the 70% mark and numbers go down, my expectation is they will be moving back, but we will have to continue on some level this program, and this is not necessarily for those people.
So my question again is, why not just pay them out of class for the period of time doing that, and then they go back to the same pay when this is over?
Well, because if we pay them out of class, then we're paying everyone the same amount for equity.
Everyone? The others aren't doing it though.
They will be trained to do it,
Well, yeah, but they
but
will,
they will not have gone through everything that these people have gone through.
mean as far as training goes, or just the experience?
Well, yeah, I mean, basically, without an EPI, they had to come up with everything and read all the guidelines and come up with all the templates and, you know, make these relationships with the schools and the organizations and talk to all the businesses and stuff that have already been laid. They are the ones that have done that, not the new people that will take over.
Okay, the two people will, the new people will take over from the guidelines and whatever else they have to go by that were designed by these two people, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so my question again is, why not pay them over and above for that period of time?
Well, I keep coming back to the same thing.
I understand,
Yeah.
and
So
I guess we're not together.
We're not stumped because I don't know how else to answer that question.
Okay, thank you.
I had some questions, but I think I'm satisfied with the explanation that Mike provided.
Okay.
So,
Melissa, any
I'm not
comment?
sure about it.
So, I guess I am curious, Mike, I wasn't aware that we were hiring new people to take this over. Are we hiring nurses? I mean, are those permanent positions or temporary?
These are temporary positions. No, not all of these people are nurses.
I know, but you said you're hiring people to backfill Rebecca and Kelsey's roles.
Yeah.
Correct.
Are you hiring employees through a temporary service?
Yeah.
And they're not nurses though. So they don't have the same qualifications.
I mean, pay equity is
Well-
not going to apply in that case.
I would think that some are and some won't. I mean, we haven't actually got there yet, right?
Okay, I don't feel like this is ready for a decision today. I'd like you to
No.
take it back and talk to Caroline.
Yeah, I'm not
About it.
either.
Okay.
Thanks.
At this point, I'm ready for a vote?
I voted to table. I moved to table.
Okay,
I'll
well,
go with that.
you would just amend your motion then? Okay.
Yeah, you guys did have a motion and a second.
Oh, we did.
Yeah,
They did.
So,
so I just moved to table your motion.
You have a second on the tabling?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. All right, thanks, Mike.
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, yes. Yeah, 4C, request award of
Bob?
contract.
If,
Oh, I thought we did.
just me, I was the only one who
All in
voted.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
There. We're really with it
Bob,
today for some
if I
reason.
could really quick, just in the spirit of making things even more confusing, if I could. Today is election day, and our county clerk, Debbie Heller, is here with us. And we had a request from League of Women Voters to recognize Debbie for all of the work that she has done. And I know she's got a really busy schedule. So if we could just recognize her really quick, I have a proclamation I'd like to read. And I don't know if League of Women Voters, would you like to stand up so everybody can see who's here from League of Women Voters? Thank you all. Thanks for coming today. Whereas Debbie Heller has tirelessly served the people of Coos County for over 25 years with every election cycle in that time. And whereas Debbie Heller successfully accepted the challenge of appointment as the Coos County Clerk in 2017, followed by election to the position in 2019. And whereas Debbie Heller has shown exemplary personal dedication to conducting every election with accuracy, attention to detail, and adherence to Oregon election laws. And whereas Debbie Heller has shown outstanding commitment to ensuring the health and security of the safety and security of each voting process for Coos County citizens. Whereas Debbie has served as a strong resource for the League of Women Voters in Coos County in its mission to provide objective, nonpartisan education for Coos County voters. Now, therefore, the Board of Commissioners of Coos County hereby commends Coos County Clerk Debbie Heller for her longstanding service and outstanding commitment to fair elections in Coos County. Thank you, Debbie.
Thanks, Debbie.
Let me give you a copy of this. Anything you'd like to tell people about Election Day? I know it's a busy and unusual election day for a special election.
So today is a special district election. This is an election that usually gets pretty low turnout, but we're at 20%, a little over. So I'm not unhappy with that. We do have people coming in and getting ballots this morning. That's great. You know, the election process itself is amazing. We have a great team of workers. I've got great staff. The board is I've enjoyed all the years I've been here. It's just a great process, and we're proud to represent the county and all the voters in this state. So I mean, yeah,
Oh,
it'll be
thank you
with
so
me
much.
for a long time.
So the
Thank you very
deadline,
much.
Debbie, is
I'm sorry?
the deadline for people to drop their ballots?
8 o'clock, and I will say, I'm hoping that, you know, this election is the first one that we've had outside permanent boxes in every city.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's been lower turnout, but yet, you know, it's outstanding, and the people are just gonna make it easier for them to vote and ensure their votes counted, even if it's at the last minute.
Great.
So, yeah, I haven't had much feedback. A couple people couldn't find them in parking lots, but I mean, you know, they'll find them. They're white, they're huge, and it's working out really good.
Good.
So, yeah, maybe that had something to do with a little higher turnout, but, yeah, we're just hoping we'll get, the newspaper, I thought, The World did an excellent job of telling people about it, and getting the word out there. We called the districts. I mean, we did a lot of extra, because it's also a lot of extra work when, you know, you've got, no one running, because a lot of times who wins on these special district elections for write-ins, somebody just wrote their name in.
Right.
They may not be eligible, they don't want it, you know, so.
Right.
Anyway, it's an important election, because it is the smaller districts that make a big difference. Your school boards, I mean, there's fire districts. I mean, a lot of ways, these small districts affects your lives even more than the bigger elections that are out there.
But I will say, Melissa has somebody in her family running.
Oh,
I
yes.
do, yeah. My
He's
husband's running for hospital
uncontested.
district.
I was adjudicating yesterday, and I noticed that he was uncontested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. As long as the guy, you know, anybody but Troy Cribbins doesn't win, he should be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we're getting some write-ins, and it'll be a while before we get all the write-ins. There's so many contests that we don't even process and count the individual tallies for write-ins till after today.
Yeah.
And stuff, so, yeah, but it'll be interesting, and it's a good process. I've got one staff member that's brand new. This is her first election, and another one that's only been here about a year and a half, so they're doing awesome, and the county's lucky to have them.
Great.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much.
You bet.
I know it was a busy
Thanks,
day, so
Debbie.
thanks for coming down.
People have started coming in, and I've got that new staff all by herself, so.
All right. Well, thank you.
They want a picture.
Yeah, Debbie. Nat, would you go take it for him really quick? I know. Yes, thank you. Oh, Gabe's gonna do it, thanks.
Okay. All right, 4C, request award of contract for on-call architectural engineering services, John Rowe. Roadmaster, Parks Director, solid waste director, et cetera.
Public Works put out a RFQ for a one-year contract for engineering and architectural services. So we had 7 consultants interested. We only got 2 submittals. And after we scored, we chose David Evans and Associates.
Okay, have a motion?
I move we award the Public Works on-call architectural and engineering services contract to David Evans and Associates.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Oh,
For-
Rick has a question.
Oh,
Oh, Dick,
Yeah, what is this gonna cost us?
It's on a job-by-job basis.
And the second thing, is this eliminating other people to bid on the job when, it might come up and want an architect or an engineer for a job that they can't bid on it, because you got one person
No.
on call?
We can
Not for
choose-
doing
we
the
can
job,
choose
no.
whoever we want, but this is a yearly contract for mostly our state jobs and stuff, so. There's
Okay.
qualifications in there they have to qualify, so.
all right, thank you.
Small jobs,
for-
we can choose whoever we want.
4D, request approval of 21-22 court security expenditure plan. Mr. Langford, court
Thomas, how are you?
administrator.
Still morning, right?
Yes, it is.
How's everyone today?
We
Good, how are
are
you?
sort of functioning.
Well, you know, it is Tuesday, so
Yeah,
the week's not even halfway over.
we got,
Soon will be.
Requesting approval of the FY '22 court security expenditure plan. Within that plan is some PACTIN funding to offset the security upgrades that will be required in the new courtroom that's being remodeled over at the 250 North Baxter address. Total projected expenses for FY '22 out of the court security fund are $114,000.
okay, motion?
I move approval of plan and expenditure authority for 2021-22 fiscal year 2022.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you, Thomas.
Painless, guys.
I know.
Yeah.
We already made it painful enough for other people. We decided to let you off the hook.
For,
The next time.
Yeah.
4E, request acceptance of AT grant and authorize sheriff to sign. Sheriff? Okay.
Good morning.
Good
Morning,
morning.
Sheriff.
Good morning.
This is a 2-year grant reimbursement and match agreement with the state of Oregon, acting by and through the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department, ORPD, and Coos County Sheriff's Office, in the amount of $673,420.80. The Sheriff's Office would be, under this grant, providing off-road patrols not only in the Dunes National Recreation Area, Blue Ridge, Winchester Trail Systems, and the North Spit Coos Bay.
Okay, motion?
I move we approve and authorize the sheriff to sign the ATV grant agreement 21-27.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion about this? Excuse me.
Oh, we appreciate it.
Yep.
Good job. Thank you, Sheriff.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. 4F, request approval of contract modification with USDA Siuslaw National Forest Service. Sheriff?
This is the cooperative law enforcement agreement, 20 LE 11061 1200-017. This agreement is effective, has been effective from May 1st of last year and runs through April 30th of 2022. This is in the amount of $20,240 plus $45,240 to additional funds to the agreement.
Okay.
Is this largely dunes patrol, Sheriff?
Yes.
Okay,
I
motion?
move we approve and sign the agreement with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Siuslaw National Forest.
Is second?
Second.
Okay, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 4G, request approval to contract renewal for med services and authorize chair to sign it for the jail.
As you're aware, WellPath has been our healthcare provider in the jail for some time. They provide the required and actually beyond that, health requirements required for those people incarcerated and basically checking our staff to prevent the spread of communicable diseases in the jail. And our contract ends on June 30th, 2021. We would like to extend the agreement for an additional 3 years, effective July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024. The first year under the agreement would cost us $718,299. That agreement is a continuation of the contract, which has a maximum increase of 4% based off the consumer price index. The cost of living index currently for this coming year would be at 2.8% for CPI, which would result in the $718,299.
Which CPI is it indexed to?
I knew you were gonna ask that. And actually, I did.
Is it a medical one?
Yeah, it's a medical one.
Oh. All right. And so that's, so this represents a 2.8% increase over the last year that we
Yes.
had the contract. Okay, thanks.
So a motion?
I move to authorize the sheriff to sign the WellPath contract renewal for jail health care services in the total amount of $718,299.
Second?
I second that. I'm gonna make sure that motion cannot be misinterpreted.
Because it's not set.
The beginning amount is
Right.
$718,299.
For
And
the
the total
for the
amount
first
would
year,
be
the
that
first year of the
plus,
extension.
Right.
plus the appropriate cost of living increases for the next 2 years,
Yeah.
succeeding 2
Mhm.
years.
How about I just withdraw my motion and
Okay,
restate it?
restate, okay,
Right.
please.
I move to authorize the sheriff to extend the agreement with WellPath for jail medical services for an additional 3 years, effective July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2024.
Second.
All right. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all-
You know, I think it's worth noting, Sheriff, and you and I have had this conversation many times, healthcare is really a struggle for jails.
Absolutely.
We don't have a lot of options if we go back out. I think some people will look at this number and say that's a lot of money to provide medical services to the jail. The truth is that, you know, we've gone out 3 years ago to see how much it would cost, and we only had one bidder, and it was WellPath.
And it actually increased our cost
And it-
because they really looked at it and looked and projected the increasing cost of healthcare and included that. The access for jail services is so limited, it's such a specific case, it is very difficult to find anybody. WellPath also serves Douglas County, that's part of the reason they're willing to do it, because they're set up in the area.
Right.
Trying to get somebody into just Coos County is almost impossible.
Exactly.
And I do remember before that, trying to find a doctor, nurses, et cetera,
We were
was
in
impossible.
violation constantly because
Yeah.
you'd hire a doctor, particularly doctors come to our area because it's underserved community and they get reimbursed for not only medical training, but some subsidies. And they'd be here for 6 months and they'd be gone, and we'd be in the process of trying to find a doctor. Sometimes it'd take 3 to 6 months, which we were out of compliance. Then we'd get that doctor and they'd be here for 6 months, and then we'd start all over again because they'd leave.
Yep.
Right, and anybody who has ever sought medical care in Coos County knows that it can be difficult to find a physician even when you're just somebody
Oh,
on
how
private
well I know
insurance.
this
Exactly.
week. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Four
Sheriff.
H, request approval IGA modification with Douglas County Juvenile. I don't see Brian here, so, the base cost for guaranteed beds with Douglas County Juvenile is being modified from $162,474 for the year 2021 to $167,348 for 21-22, which is remarkable. I remember back in the day when juvenile detention costs us $700,000. And that was a long time ago. So this 167, this small increase is amazing. Okay. Do I have?
remember Brian giving us that
Yeah.
budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
I move to approve the second modification of the Coos Douglas County IGA for detention, sheltered at rental, and authorize expenditure.
Okay. Do you have a second?
Second?
Okay. Any discussion about this? Nobody? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 4I, request approval of contract amendment with Nutron? Nutrin? Nutrin. Nutrin. Morning.
Good morning. Either the battery's dead or this is just on.
That's on over here.
So this is a contract amendment for our herbicide wholesaler. The only thing that we had to adjust were prices, but they were very, very minimal. I'd say less than 2%, so there's not really much of a change.
Okay. Motion?
I move to authorize the amendment to contract CJ 2020-0275.
Okay.
And authorize Board of Commissioners to sign.
Great.
Second?
Okay. Discussion?
Aye.
Not yet. So, when you may have to. So when are the applications being accepted for
Cost share.
cost share for weed?
They are being accepted currently. They go through June 4th. They're available in our office. They're on the website. We did a publishing. It comes out in the newspaper tomorrow and Friday with the World. The Sentinel and the Herald also have published. We did flyers that we handed out. We did 73 postcards of existing prior for 3 years since I started doing them. And then I emailed everybody I had in my system, sent it to the watersheds to send out. So I'm hoping that we get a good return.
Are you sure everyone's getting the word?
Is there an acreage requirement?
There's no acreage requirement, though. If you are inside of the city limits, we do try to get you to partner with other city lot owners to share the herbicide, just because it does come in bigger
Big
volumes.
quantities, yes.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it was limited based on how many acres you have.
It's really not. The other thing that we do is some of the small acreage people, we work with the watersheds to actually apply it because they have applicators that can do it.
Licensed applicant.
Yeah.
All righty. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All righty. 4J, request approval of revised employee handbook. HR, Caroline.
Good morning. The Coos County Employee Handbook was last updated on May 5th, 2015. Request board approval of the revised updated employee handbook effective June 1, 2021, and sign the attached resolution.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I move we approve and sign resolution 20-05-079L, approving the Coos County Employee Handbook effective June 1, 2020.
Have a second. Okay, discussion?
So this is adopted in Union,
Correct.
and nobody, I mean, you addressed any concerns that they had?
Right.
Okay.
Any major highlights and changes?
Nope, there were no changes from the unions.
They never,
I
they
mean,
didn't bring anything up.
did we put in any major changes?
Oh, in the employee handbook? Yeah, many changes, a lot of them,
I think it went from 33 pages to 62 pages.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, there's been a few changes.
and many of those changes were based off of, we used it as a template, or Caroline used it as a template, I should say, 'cause she did a lot of work on this. The CIS has a model employee handbook that they promote, and we use that as a template, though of course it was modified to, fit the county's situation.
It couldn't have gone the other way with less pages?
It never seems to go that way.
No, not with employment law. I did borrow heavily from CIS on the social media policy and the drug and alcohol policy.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Caroline. Good job. I know that's a huge task to take on, so we really appreciate you doing it. Thank you.
Alrighty, 4K, request award of contract for courthouse main floor remodel project. Authorize Mike Hagan to sign.
All right, I'll take that one. So the county received two proposals to the request for bids to select a contractor for the Coos County Courthouse main floor remodel project. Both the bids that we received were well over our anticipated project price estimate. We did some value engineering negotiations in accordance with the county rules with Doug Backman Construction. And after those, they submitted a new bid of $687,405. We're recommending that the county award the contract to Doug Backman Construction and exercise bid alternate number 4, which provides natural ventilation through window replacement for an additional $34,875. That's been suggested by maintenance as something that in the long run will be helpful to us. So the total contract price would be $722,280.
Okay.
Okay. Do you need us to specify that we're exercising bid alternate number 4 in the motion?
I don't think so, but it wouldn't hurt, I guess, so.
Okay, motion.
I move to award the Coos County Courthouse main floor remodel project to Doug Backman Construction LLC and exercise bid alternate number 4 in the total amount of $722,280 and delegate signing authority to Mike Hagan in consultation with County Council.
Second.
Second?
Alrighty, any discussion?
Yes, sir. Well, it's exciting, right, Thomas? It's exciting.
It is very exciting. So this has been, I've been here for 4 years now, and this has been a conversation that's gone on for many more than 4 years.
Yeah.
So this is, I think, exciting to finally get there. I know Nat and I worked, Mike Hagan worked fairly tirelessly to try to get the costs down in an appropriate range, and I was able to come up with a little bit of extra money from the state as well to contribute to it all. The burden doesn't fall entirely on the county for the cost of this project, so.
And we appreciate that. I mean, I think sometimes we just think people know what's going on, but the truth is, we have a great partnership with state courts, and a lot of other counties don't have. And so.
You are 100% correct. We've been 5 years throughout the 27 districts in Oregon. There's relationships between the DOC and the state courts that are not as healthy as this relationship is. So it's extremely beneficial to have this relationship.
We really appreciate it.
Partnership.
We appreciate it. Thanks. And this is exciting.
Nothing. Oh, yeah, what's our timeline?
So, Nat, correct me if I'm wrong, but Mike Hagan's crew, under the direction of Backman Construction, will start the demo project, and piece of the remodel, and then I think the estimated completion date originally was November, probably been pushed to December-ish, January, because of the renegotiation of costs. So we're looking at probably completion by the end of 2021 or early 2022, which is still 4 to 5 months ahead of the original agreement that the courts in the county had. So it's exciting.
And I think once work begins, the estimate we have is 180 days
Correct.
from that date, so.
Well, it's nice that this is a local contractor, if it's the Backman I'm thinking of. And, this is a bigger project than just changing, than this contract is. We've had to do a lot of juggling of departments within the county's footprint to make this happen. And it's gonna be a good thing, save us some money in the long run.
I think not only juggling of county departments, but juggling and moving of the DOC.
Yeah.
So the commissioners
And
also-
legal and
legal
HR.
and HR, and there's a lot of moving components to make this happen, so.
Okay.
Literally. Yes, literally.
Yeah.
So in the court, so we closed, North Van Annex closed in November, so
Yeah.
it's been six months now since we closed the annex, and at least the public in communicating with me, there
it occurs to me that this, from its inception, would have started when Coos Health and Wellness was able to create their own space and move out of the annex.
Yeah.
And so it's, all in all, it's been a huge project for our county, and I think we've used relatively few county funds.
Can we have them pay for it?
Pardon me? I missed it.
Can we have Coos Health and Wellness pay for it?
Oh,
That's an idea.
We could try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Want to add that to your motion?
Get off the call, things happen when you're not there.
Okay,
I was
any
thinking
other
you could-
meaningful discussion?
Well, you can tell Thomas isn't from Coos County because he didn't say Crick. He said
Oh,
Creek.
yeah. People live up cricks.
I
We'd
said,
we'd be
I
up a
did
creek
say
without a
meaningful.
paddle.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, 4L has been pulled, I understand, council?
Correct.
All right, Gene. 4M, request approval of contract for mediation services.
Thanks,
Counsel.
Thomas.
So this is, the county has a mediation fund that we receive from the state courts. We put out a request for letters of interest. We received 2 qualified responses. We've already contracted with the first one. This is the second one that we've received back signed. So it's a contract with Kristen Jokums to provide court-connected domestic mediation services.
Okay, motion.
I move to approve and sign the contract with Christian Jokums for court-connected domestic mediation services.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
This is all dedicated funding. Thank you.
It's nice to have this service back available to the residents of Coos County and to provide some mediation services in the process. Parties can agree to mediate in light of having to go before the court. I think there's a benefit to that. So it's nice that we went out back out for bid and that we had 2 individuals that wanted to provide this service again. It's been 3 years since we've had it, so it's nice to have it.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion?
Is she a local attorney?
So Miss Melvin is.
Yes.
Miss Jokums is not. She's out of the Corvallis area. She provides the same service for the Benton County Circuit Court. So she's available to either commute down here to provide the service or do it remotely.
Okay.
Provide the service remote. So we'll see how it goes and we'll kind of assess it as we go through it. Hopefully it's beneficial.
Great.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4N, discussion allowing abandoned fire to enforce smoke and fire control rules within the UGB, urban growth boundary. Council.
So this was first brought up to me by Commissioner Sweet, who was approached by the city of Bandon with regard to our current intergovernmental agreement, which allows Bandon to enforce nuisance vegetation rules within their urban growth boundary. Specifically, the city is interested in enforcing its open burning restrictions, and they've also suggested their general nuisance provisions, which give them some authority to enforce smoke-related concerns. It appears that the primary intent would be to give the city additional tools for combating the danger posed by fires in areas with dense gorse patches. In order to allow the city to enforce these additional provisions, the county would ultimately be required to amend the IGA and probably pass a new ordinance based on that amendment, giving the city additional authority within the urban growth boundary.
I mean, Bandon is kind of a special case when it comes to how their urban growth boundary is and with the county having lands inside of it. I don't have a problem with doing this.
I don't have a problem.
No.
I mean, they're not asking us to pay anything, right? Just to give them the authority?
Yeah, it would be under the same framework as our IGA with nuisance vegetation enforcement.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with it.
You got a strong wind with their gorse problem, and it just goes really quickly.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
It
the
needs
concern.
Instant response.
So,
Okay.
so this will allow us to go ahead,
So I can,
draw up the IGA, then we'll approve that.
Yeah.
And Bannon's very eager to get this done. We have, it looks as though we have a difficult fire season coming up, and,
All the projections are,
and, yeah, so they want to get that just done as quickly as possible.
And the county can look at, if we're passing an ordinance, look at using emergency provision if we wanna get it into place before this current fire season, as opposed to having the 2 hearings and waiting 90 days.
I think it would be important to do that.
The only other question I would have is they've suggested 2 sections, open burning and nuisances. The nuisance section is more general, and the open burning section is more direct obviously with regard to fires. So I don't know if the board wants to incorporate both of those sections or just focus on the fires. The nuisance, I think, would be more related to smoke, but it could open the door for other things as well, because it's just a general nuisance provision that was suggested to me as something they wanted us to allow them to enforce.
I think if you're gonna be drafting language, then let's do both, and if we decide that we don't want one, we can strike it easier, then we can ask you to add it back in.
True,
So.
fair enough.
I agree.
Okay, so we really don't need a motion on it, just
No?
No,
go ahead.
kind of green light, go ahead and draw that up.
All righty,
How long do you think, Nat, it will take to get that done? I know that will be
I can put I'm not sure on Bandon's side. I can have it done, probably in the next week.
Good.
It'll just be an amendment to our existing IGA. We would have to pass that, then we could pass the ordinance, maybe contemporaneous with it as well. And the ordinance is simple too, because it would be simply saying, here's Bandon's rules. They apply within the urban growth boundary, and Bandon has been delegated authority to enforce under the IGA. So the framework's all there, so not very long.
So perhaps by our next board meeting or by next week's?
Perhaps, but I'd like for Bandon to approve it first, and I don't know what
Yeah.
their timelines
Yeah.
are, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we've already dealt with 4O.
That's being pulled, yes.
Yeah, it's been pulled, yep, thank you. Okay, motion for consent calendar,
Move to approve the consent calendar?
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. No late agenda items, that's amazing.
Wow,
It's your leadership, Bob.
yeah.
Let's turn things around.
Cracking the whip.
Yep.
Okay, so much for that. Commissioner reports, John Sweet, I mentioned this last board meeting, and you were gone, doing some extremely important work. Would you talk about that, please, on the scholarships?
I have some other things to talk about.
I
too,
know
if we
that,
could
but
also-
this is
okay.
really,
Well, we'll do the scholarship thing
Important.
first. I did 3 weeks of interviews for the Ford Family Foundation Ford Scholars Program. It's one of several scholarship programs the Ford Family Foundation has. As you know, I think most of you would know that that's a foundation created by the founder of Roseburg Forest Products, and he endowed a significant part of his estate, which has grown now, or the endowment has grown to over $1 billion. And on top of that, they give away 5% each year of the corpus of the foundation. And part of that, a little over $12 million a year, goes to scholarships. As I said, they have several programs. They're all top quality. The program that I helped with the interviews is called the Ford Scholar Program. There were over 2,000 applicants for that scholarship, or those scholarships. Out of those 2,000 applicants, 230 people were interviewed. These are young people graduating from high school, wishing to go on to college, highly need-based. The scholarships are full 4-year rides, or 5 if a major like education or engineering is what the students have chosen to do. There are 130 of the 230 people who were chosen to be interviewed received the award.
We have 2 interview teams of 3 people each. We each interviewed what did we do? We interviewed 115 candidates apiece. It's an all day, every day for a 3-week proposition. It was done by Zoom, and we awarded 130 contracts. And some examples of the type of, the nature of the students that get these awards. There was one young lady that left her home at age 14 due to abusive circumstances and excessive use of drugs. She had no place to go, no family support. Near where they lived in the country, near Ashland, there was a pig farm. And she went there and asked the owners if she could work for her a place to stay. And they provided that. We get inside information about some of these. She had a 3-mile walk to school. I don't know why there weren't buses, but there weren't. And she continued her education. She fed the pigs, worked in the corrals. That was the type of work she did. Finally got a better job, and this spring will graduate from high school with very good grades. Not too many activities because she's busy working, and she'll be going to college next year, and it'll all be paid for. So that's an example of the type of situations that we see, and it's heartwarming work. There are children who have suffered worse home lives than that I'm aware of, that have received this scholarship. So anyway, that's what I was doing.
So,
It's a
tell
pretty
me,
neat deal.
what does a scholarship entail? What does it cover?
Well, first, it's 90% of unmet need. Now, so if their parents, if one of the students had parents that were able to contribute anything, and that's determined through a process called FAFSA, so if the parents could, say, afford to do $3,000 a year, well, let's start with what it costs to go to college these days. If you go to a state institution, Oregon State, University of Oregon, Southern Oregon College, you're looking at $30,000 plus or minus, mainly plus. That's all in. Room and board, tuition, books, a little money to spend. If you go, the bargains in the state are Eastern Oregon College, Western Oregon College, and OIT in Klamath Falls, and you're down around 25 to 27,000. If you were to go to Willamette or Linfield, it's $60,000 these years. Most of those private institutions have big endowments of their own, which they use as an offset to that $60,000, bringing it down to about the cost of a state institution for children whose families can't afford the full board. And there aren't many that can. It's horrible. The really neat thing, I think, about the scholarship, it's way more than money. Most of the students receiving these scholarships are first-generation students. No one in their family has ever gone to college before. They don't know what it's about. Many of them have not even been able to visit the campuses to which they're going. And so the foundation, in recognizing that, Mr. Ford, in recognizing that, wanted to make sure that these children were given, young people were given every opportunity to graduate. So the scholarship office itself has a staff of counselors who monitor the progress or lack of progress of these students. And if there's a lack of progress, then the students are told they can reach out to the staff counselors at any time. But if they fail to reach out, rather than let them fail, the scholarship office reaches out to them. So the success rate, the graduation rate, is well over 90%. And that's unheard of when you're dealing with students who have no experience with college, or whose families have not had experience with going to college. In addition to the counseling, Mr. Ford, I believe, well, I'm told, always felt that he was a little bit ill at ease in social situations. And in recognizing that many of these scholarship awardees have probably never spent a night in a motel or gone to a nice restaurant or be in a social situation where you're confronted with more than a knife and a fork on your table. To help put them at ease, each summer he takes all of them to a nice resort, Salishan or Sun River, all 130 of them times 4 classes. And they meet there for a week, and they have activities. For the freshmen, it's more learning how to succeed in college, and as you progress through, by the time you're a senior, you're learning about doing resumes, and so that you prepare yourself for life after graduation. But the whole idea is to make these young people, give them an opportunity to be more comfortable in a social situation, because once their education is done, that's important. You don't have a lot of chances to make. First impressions count for a lot, and so it's an amazing program, and it's a privilege to be a part of it. So that's where I was. That's what I was doing.
The original founder, Mr. Ford, did things that you don't even know about. I mean, the original building of the Coquille Community Building was them. The Coquille Hospital was them. Kids, on the first day of school, they would go through and ask the teachers, the principal, which kids needed adequate clothing. They'd go out and supply all that for those kids, so they weren't different than everybody else in school. So many things, you could talk about hundreds of things that this company, these founders did to help the community and give back. It's amazing if you don't know the story. What else do you have, John?
That's it. Okay, a few other things. Attended the fair board meeting last night. I think they have confirmed that we will have a fair this summer.
Oh, okay. Yay.
That's an action, and I think the fair board and all the superintendents who run the different functions at the fair, like the auction, like the flower displays, whatever, we're all there. They've been waiting for the word go, and the fair will probably not, well, it definitely will not be as large or have as much entertainment as fairs in recent years have. But I was just amazed at the enthusiasm of the people that are on the fair board, and the people that, all the other people that make it possible. So we'll have the fair. Will be in late June. Went to a meeting with the Oregon Department of Transportation. They do this periodically. They talked about 10 projects in the southwestern Oregon region. I won't go through all 10, but there are 5 of those that particularly impact us. The first being the Scottsburg Bridge on Highway 38. They hope to have that open to traffic a year from now. So they're moving quickly on that. As you know, they're leveling and paving Highway 42 from past the mill pond here, and where it had actually sunk in places up to 4 or 5 feet. So that's a pretty major project they're doing. Powers Highway has a bridge that's replacing a culvert that an impaired fish passage on Long Tom Creek. They're still painting the McCullough Bridge. They probably will be for the rest of our lives, and maybe the rest of God's life too, I'm not sure. And then in Coos Bay, they're doing a kind of a major intersection improvement at Johnson Avenue at the south end of Coos Bay, between the Shell station and the Chevron station, where you come out of, I think you come out of Fred Meyer and Safeway.
What exactly is that improvement? Because I've seen traffic messed up for a month now, but never anybody working on it.
They're working on it.
Are they?
Yeah.
I must just go. It's a nighttime thing. There you go. I'm not.
They
down
want to
that
make you
night.
appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it.
So,
I do.
So that's, I thought was, some of those things might be of interest. And I should have mentioned this while John Rowe was here. He and the people in the park department are doing some remarkable work. They have a project at Riley Ranch to add 34 or 35 new RV parking spots. They are getting close to the end of that project, and their plan is to have it open the middle of June. At 10 Mile Lake, they've added 2 handicap-friendly, long aluminum ramps to make the docks there more accessible to everyone. Certainly improves the the appearance. And they just added a kayak launch, so that old people like I am can get in and out of a kayak without tipping over. And there are other improvements going on at all the parks, but those are the major ones. And if you drive to our parks, I think you'll find that they are all looking better. We're replacing all the old fire pits that were broken down, new tables in many of them. Got a whole truckload of trees from the valley and planted those to make the parks look a little less sparse.
Are they palm trees?
No, we went away from palm trees
You
this
did.
go around.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, just checking.
I didn't want to disappoint. I didn't want to bring that up, but you would have to.
This end of the table wanted to know.
So, but mainly they're just, they've established a new awareness of tidiness and maintenance, and they're doing a great job. And our park bookings reflect the job they're doing. We seem to be quite busy.
Good.
That's it?
Liz?
Okay, I wanted to remind everybody that it's election day. I know Debbie being here was probably a great reminder in her red, white, and blue, but it's been an hour since then, so. It's election day. Get your ballots in by 8 o'clock. Drop them in any drop box, but don't drop them in the mail because they have to be received by 8 o'clock on election day. Let me see. I'll start with vaccine incentives. Coos County's at 52.1% right now of people that have gotten at least one vaccine. The governor's office told us last week that we have to be at 65% plus have an equity plan in place if we want to stay at low. Based on the current projections, we will hit that sometime in August, which is not soon, as you guys can figure out on your own. And so we are getting $420,000 from the state to help overcome barriers to people getting vaccinated. This is not in any way to make people get vaccinated that don't want to get vaccinated. It's for people that want to get vaccinated and for some reason they're not able to, whether it's they can't get a ride to the vaccine site, or they have questions or concerns, or they need, an opportunity to get vaccinated in their house, whatever that is. Our public health department is looking at ways to overcome those barriers to people getting vaccinated. So that I'm sure you'll be hearing more about as time passes. We don't have those contracts yet, so it's not a right now thing, but it's supposed to be a sometime in the next 2 weeks thing. We got word last Tuesday. I had been at the Association of Oregon Counties meeting and got some messages on my way home from that the governor had made the decision to keep Warner Creek Correctional Facility open in Lake County because of the severe economic hardship that it would cause to Lake County if it was closed. I immediately called the director of Department of Corrections, and she answered my call, and I said, what about Coos County? I mean, we are not in any better economic condition than Lake County is. And she said she understood, but it was not her decision, that it was a governor's decision. And so I did call the governor and tell her my concerns. She called me back yesterday. We had a conversation about it. I know she talked to Representative Wright also, and he had a conversation with her. We will continue to advocate on the issue. I know that she remains committed to closing Shutter Creek, but it's our job and something that all three of your commissioners have done to continue to advocate for keeping it open. I wanted to mention that the county fair is July 20th through 24th. It seems to be the most.
June, sorry.
Yeah, it seems to be the most popular question that I've been getting lately. It's funny, you want to hear from high school friends, just put it up in the air whether or not the fair is going to happen, and they will all send you messages on Facebook to ask whether or not the fair is going to occur. And I got a text message from a reporter in the middle of this, John, wanting to know also, because apparently Benton County has announced that their fair is canceled this year. So she'll be calling you to discuss the fair being open. We had our last budget work session and finalized the budget, which is always a relief, and it's, the budget is the most important work that we do all year, and so it's nice when we get the budget finally passed, and we will have it coming to a Board of Commissioners meeting in June when it gets completely finalized. Commissioner Main and I were both on the Coos County Urban Renewal Agency budget discussion call, and that was last Tuesday, and that got approved and passed on to the Urban Renewal Agency. It calls for some work to be done out on Trans-Pacific Parkway, having the flooding issue. We didn't talk about Martins at all. I wasn't even aware that there was we need a Martin crosswalk or something. Yeah.
So that flooding issue needs to be fixed. It's been an issue for quite a while.
It does. So hopefully that can get addressed. I talked to a representative of the Renewable Hydrogen Alliance because I admit I was curious about exactly what renewable hydrogen was last week, and so got some information on that. They actually have a lobbyist here in Oregon, in Salem. So Bob, I'm happy to make the connection for you if you'd like to know more about renewable hydrogen.
Are we running out?
I don't, it was an element, so I was surprised to discover that, yeah. Apparently what they do is they use electrolysis to split water into hydrogen and oxygen, and they use the hydrogen gas as a renewable LNG.
However, 90% of all the hydrogen is created from liquid natural gas.
This is renewable hydrogen,
Seems
though.
stupid to me.
Apparently the idea is that they would use offshore wind to generate it. I know.
Yeah, right.
I know, I just wanted to give you the good news. I knew that you'd be interested after I told you all that. I'm the president of Association of Oregon Counties this year, and we had our first in-person meeting last week, and our governance committee, public safety committee, legislative committee, and board all met. Commissioner Sweet was also there, and I think every commissioner that was there told me that what a relief it was to meet in person again. So I think we all are feeling that strain of Zoom fatigue and being tired of meeting online. So, and then I have been made the co-convener on the Sudden Oak death issue with Representative Brock Smith, and we had a call about Sudden Oak death. That there's been some more found on the Rogue River, and there's discussion about moving the quarantine area also farther north, and that more to come on that next week as they determine where that sod came from. There's different strains.
Be on your toes, Bob. I know it's
That is true. You guys have noticed that? Suddenly. And that's it for me. Thank you.
And speaking of Zoom meetings, yesterday was a trial of my patience.
A day that shall live in infamy.
Yeah. So we had a 9 o'clock till 4 o'clock, we had OPAC meeting, Ocean Policy Advisory Committee. At the same time, we had a RACLA, Resource Advisory Commission, BLM, where they had that money to various needs and wants and stuff. The problem I had was, for the first 5 hours, both of them talked about themselves, rather than getting down to business, which kind of tried my patience. Hopefully, for the next RAC meetings on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we will actually do some actual work. Participated in the Council Force Trust Lands executive session, talking about our upcoming appeal by the state on our win on the trust land lawsuit of 1.1 billion, and right now, as I said before, the state is over $100 million just in interest penalties. I participated in Congressman Fazio's town hall, where we talked about fisheries problems. Also talked with Senator Wyden and Senator Merkley about the fisheries problems, the salmon problems, specifically about the feds and the state not releasing the same amount of salmon, fingerlings, et cetera, salmon, smolts that they have in the past. They've cut back and back and back, which has resulted in going to be a closure of the entire Coquille River this fall for salmon and maybe other. We did the urban renewal of the budget. We had a meeting here with some representatives from the Oregon Anglers Alliance, which they now represent over 65,000 members, talking about the salmon problem. We wrote a letter to Senators Merkley and Wyden about Cold River hatchery, which is on the Red River at the Lost Creek Dam, about not raising fish and why they should be raising fish and how to correct some of their problems. And then with that, we're able to have fair, hopefully. Thank you all for doing that. With that, here you go.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, let's sign stuff here. It's easy. Oh, did you need to go to the ocean meeting, though?
The what?
The offshore wind meeting right now? The ocean update? I can just turn it on so we can all watch it from here.